Dr. Elias Monroe adjusted the straps of his exploration harness as he stepped off the docking platform. The station's metal floors hummed faintly under his boots, the air filled with a faint ozone sent from the energy grids that powered the outpost. He had seen many alien stations before, but this one was different. It wasn't just the architecture, a lattice of translucent metal and glowing pathways, but something more subtle, almost alive in the way the corridors seemed to shift slightly with each footstep, as if the station itself were watching. Elias paused to check his instruments. His heart raced. He wasn't afraid exactly, he was curious, perhaps more curious than he had been in years. He had devoted his life to understanding alien cultures, to studying their habits, their societies, their languages, but nothing in his career had prepared him for this moment. A sudden sound echoed down the hall, a soft, deliberate shuffle of feet that didn't match any human rhythm. Elias froze, gripping his datapad tighter. Out of the corner of his eye, a shadow moved with astonishing speed. He turned sharply, and there she was. Her skin shimmered faintly under the station's lights, a soft, iridescent blue that seemed to flow like liquid across her shoulders and arms. Her eyes were larger than a human's, golden and luminous, reflecting curiosity and something else he couldn't immediately identify. She stepped closer, silent and deliberate, her presence commanding attention without a single word. Elias swallowed. "Hello," he said, though his voice felt small in the vast corridor. She tilted her head, studying him. Then, with astonishing speed, she was in front of him, closing the space between them in less than a second. Before he could react, her hands were on the walls on either side of him, effectively pinning him in place. "You want to know why my species chooses humans?" she said, her voice a soft chime that somehow carried both authority and amusement. Elias' pulse quickened, but he forced himself to remain calm. I suppose that's why I'm here," he managed, trying to keep his tone steady despite the thrill and tension coiling in his chest. The alien studied him, her gaze unblinking. There was no aggression in her stance, yet the power in her movement was undeniable. She could have easily overpowered him if she wanted to. Elias realized in that moment that she wasn't showing strength to intimidate. She was showing it to impress, to test, to observe. "You are small," she continued, her words carefully measured, "yet you survive in ways my species never could. You take risks. You make mistakes, and from them you create something greater. That is why we notice you." He had expected many things from this encounter, but this explanation wasn't one of them. Humans survived not because they were the strongest, fastest, or most cunning, but because they adapted. They endured, learned, and grew. Somehow she had seen it, recognized it, and it fascinated her. "Why me?" he asked, curiosity overtaking caution. "Why humans at all? There are many species in this galaxy more advanced than us. And you can inspire loyalty in others, not through fear but through action." They were reputed to be perfectionists, valuing precision and efficiency above all else, but here one of them was explaining why humans, messy, emotional, unpredictable humans, were remarkable. "And you want to study us?" he asked. "No," she said, shaking her head. "We want to understand you, not to experiment, not to control, but to learn. There is something in your species that we do not possess, something we cannot replicate. It draws our attention, and sometimes it draws our admiration. Enough to want to see your world, your choices, your struggles, and perhaps one day to invite you into ours." Yet here was an alien who had recognized the hidden strengths of his species, the qualities that made humans not just survivors but pioneers in the cosmos. Elias realized he had been holding his breath and let it out slowly. "And why now?" he asked. "Why me here at this station?" "Because you are willing to see, willing to understand. Others might react with fear, with anger, with resistance. But you," she smiled faintly, "you are curious, and curiosity, more than anything, shapes the future." He had spent his life pursuing knowledge, following questions that led him across light years of space, and now it had brought him face to face with something extraordinary. "Show me," he said finally. "Show me your world. Show me what makes humans special to you." Then she stepped back, lowering her hands from the walls, allowing him freedom of movement. "Follow me," she said simply. Elias hurried to keep up. They moved through the station, passing corridors filled with technology that both dazzled and intimidated. He noted the precision of everything, the perfect alignment of panels, the soft hum of energy conduits, the way the light seemed to bend just so over surfaces. But it was not cold or sterile. There was an elegance to it, a sense that the Ilari valued not just efficiency, but harmony. Lyra led him to a transport chamber, a room that pulsed with soft light and energy. Without words, she activated it, and Elias felt a moment of disorientation as the room shimmered. When it stabilized, he was no longer on the station, but hovering above a landscape that seemed almost unreal. Jagged mountains of iridescent crystal jutted from the ground, and rivers of liquid light snaked through the valleys below. Alien plants swayed in winds he could not feel, and distant structures gleamed under twin suns. "This is our world," Lyra said. "Not all humans will understand it, not all would survive it, but you," she let the word hang in the air. "You might." He had imagined alien worlds countless times in simulations, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of one. "Why me?" he whispered again, not to challenge her, but because he needed to hear it aloud. "Because humans can see potential where others see only obstacles," she said softly. "Because you act where others hesitate. Because you value life, not only your own, but the lives of others. That is why my species chooses humans, not for conquest, not for dominance, but for hope." Lyra turned toward him, her expression unreadable but her eyes shining with an intensity that made him catch his breath. "Do not misunderstand. You will face challenges here. You will need to adapt. You will need to think beyond your instincts. But if you succeed, you will see what humans can become, not just for themselves, but for the galaxy." Humans had always survived against impossible odds, and perhaps now they had a chance to show the galaxy why they were chosen. He took a deep breath and followed Lyra forward into the unknown brilliance of her world. Every step was a step into wonder, into challenge, into discovery. And as he walked, he felt the spark of human ingenuity ignite within him, a spark that might one day illuminate the universe. The air shimmered with the energy of possibilities. Somewhere in the distance, a crystal mountain reflected the light of twin suns. Somewhere the Elari watched, judging, learning, and perhaps hoping. And somewhere a human stood at the threshold of a journey that would define not only his life but the destiny of his species. Elias felt a thrill of excitement, tempered with a quiet sense of responsibility. This was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike, but he knew one thing with certainty: humans had survived far worse than this. And whatever lay ahead, he would meet it with the courage, curiosity, and ingenuity that had carried his species across the stars. He glanced at Lyra, who moved with fluid grace, her golden eyes fixed ahead. She had shown him the edge of a new world, and in doing so had illuminated something he had always known but never fully understood. Humans were more than survivors. They were a force of hope, unpredictability, and potential, and now the galaxy was about to see it too. And with that thought, Elias stepped fully into the unknown, ready to meet whatever came next, knowing that the future belonged to those who dared to see, to act, and to believe. Elias followed Lyra through the shimmering landscape, his boots sinking slightly into a soft, translucent moss that glowed faintly under the light of the twin suns. Every step brought a new wonder: trees that hummed with energy, rivers that sparkled as if made of liquid starlight, and floating stones that hovered gently above the ground without any visible support. Elias kept his eyes wide, his mind struggling to process it all. He had traveled to alien worlds before, but nothing compared to the scale and beauty of this one. Lyra moved with fluid grace, her gaze scanning the horizon as though reading invisible symbols. Occasionally, she would gesture, and a plant or creature would respond, shrinking, bending, or emitting a soft light. Elias watched in awe, realizing that her people had a deep connection with their environment, one humans could only dream of. Yet, despite their apparent perfection, there was something missing, something that humans had and the Elari sought. "Do all your people move like this?" Elias asked, trying to keep pace. "So connected to everything." "Some are rigid, some prefer logic over instinct. But you, human, notice things others ignore. That is why you are here, to see what we often fail to see in ourselves." Floating vehicles hovered silently between them, guided by some invisible force. Elias felt a pang of awe and fear. This world was advanced, far beyond anything humans had built, and yet Lyra seemed completely at ease. "This is our city," she said. "Do not touch anything without permission. Our systems are delicate, but observe, watch carefully. You will understand why we are cautious." And yet, as he watched, he realized this perfection came at a cost. There was no room for improvisation, for error, for the unexpected. He turned to Lyra. "It's beautiful, but it feels controlled, like there's no room for creativity. You break them to make something better. That is why we notice you. That is why we admire you. You do not rely on perfection, you rely on ingenuity, and that is invaluable." Let us see what you can do. He used a piece of nearby moss, carefully compressing it into a makeshift insulator and guided the energy through it, stabilizing the conduit. The drones paused, their lights blinking in what Elias guessed was admiration. Lyra clapped softly, her hands raised in subtle applause. "Remarkable," she said. "You saw a solution we did not. You acted not with hesitation, but with insight. This is why humans are chosen. You do what others cannot." As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the crystalline city, Lyra led him to a communal area where other Elari observed them. Some watched silently, some whispered among themselves, clearly impressed by his solution. Elias realized that he was not just performing a simple task. He was demonstrating the essence of humanity to a species that had long valued perfection above all else. "Do you always test your visitors like this?" Elias asked cautiously. Lyra shook her head. "Only those who show potential. Many humans would fail, many would be afraid. But you see possibilities, not limits. That is rare. That is why we notice you. That is why you matter." It was one thing to understand humans intellectually. It was another to represent the species in a way that could define how an alien civilization viewed them. Later, they walked through a forest of towering plants that seemed to hum with life. Each step produced a faint vibration, a melody of energy and motion. Lyra stopped at a clearing where a small group of alien creatures was trapped in a natural energy field, unable to escape. The Elari observing them debated quietly, unsure how to intervene without causing harm. Elias stepped forward, examining the field. He realized that it responded to a combination of sound and movement. He instructed the creatures to move in a pattern he improvised, while he hummed a steady rhythm. Slowly, carefully, the field dissipated, freeing the creatures. The Elari watching erupted into quiet murmurs of approval. Lyra's expression softened as she watched him. "Humans understand life in ways we cannot. You balance intuition and action. You act without fear of imperfection. This is why we choose humans." That evening they sat atop a cliff overlooking a valley where rivers of light twisted like liquid silver. The twin suns set behind the crystalline peaks, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the landscape. Lyra watched the horizon in silence, then spoke softly. "You will face challenges, human. Your species will be tested. But in those tests, you will show what it means to be human. Courage, creativity, empathy, ingenuity. These are the traits that make you remarkable. And in time, perhaps, the galaxy will understand this too." He understood that this journey was not just about exploration. It was about representation, about showing the galaxy that humans had value beyond their technology, beyond their numbers, beyond their history of survival. The night came, and the valley glowed with the soft light of bioluminescent flora. Elias felt a quiet peace, tempered by anticipation. He had seen a glimpse of a world beyond imagination, and he had discovered the reason humans mattered. They could act when others hesitated, see solutions when others saw only problems, and inspire hope where others saw only despair. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the luminous valley. "Tomorrow you will meet more of my people. They will observe you, test you, perhaps challenge you. But remember, your value is not in perfection, but in your humanity. That is your strength. Not for me, not for you, but for all of us." He thought of what Lyra had said, that humans could inspire, could teach, could act where others failed. He closed his eyes, letting the soft hum of the alien world lull him into sleep. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests, and new opportunities to show the galaxy what humanity was capable of. And Elias knew one thing with certainty. Humans would rise to meet them because that was what they always did. And somewhere in the shadows of the crystalline city, the Elari watched, recording, learning, and waiting to see just how far humanity could go. The news came suddenly, faster than Elias had expected. As he walked with Lyra through the crystalline city, soft notifications flickered in his portable communicator. The Galactic Council had sent a delegation, an official inspection team to evaluate the humans' presence. Elias read the brief report with a sinking feeling. The Council's tone was cautious, almost hostile. Humans were considered unpredictable, dangerous even, by many of the advanced species who had long traded knowledge and power in strict order. "Why are they coming?" Elias asked, trying to hide the tension in his voice. Lyra's golden eyes reflected the light of the floating sun. "Many species distrust unpredictability. They see your kind as reckless, unstable, perhaps even a threat. They do not understand humans. They cannot see the value you bring. They may even attempt to discredit your species. But remember, You are here not because they invited you, but because my people chose you. Your worth is not defined by them, but by your actions. Small craft descended, and outstepped beings from various corners of the galaxy. Some had multiple limbs, some had crystalline skin, some seemed almost invisible until they moved. Each moved with the poise and precision of a species that had mastered survival over millennia. Elias felt the weight of their scrutiny immediately. Eyes, sensors, and instruments all turned toward him, analyzing, recording, judging. He straightened his posture, reminded himself of Lyra's words, "Your worth is not defined by them, but by your actions." Lyra guided him to a central observation platform, a crystalline amphitheater that overlooked the city and its inhabitants. "Here they will see humans in action," she said. "Do not falter. Remember who you are." They had survived not by perfection, but by resilience, creativity, and courage. The council began its assessment with careful observation. Delegates watched the city, the floating transport systems, the energy conduits, and the creatures interacting with their environment. They whispered in their own tongues, making calculations and comparisons Elias could not fully understand. Some appeared bored, others visibly skeptical. A sudden alarm shattered the quiet hum of the city. A massive asteroid, previously undetected, was on a collision course with one of the floating platforms. The structure housed essential energy cores that powered a large portion of the city. Failure to protect it would result in catastrophic damage. Panic spread among the Alari, but it was controlled, calculated. Systems engaged, drones activated, but the standard procedures were insufficient. The asteroid was larger than the sensors predicted, and the energy shields were insufficient to stop it entirely. Elias felt a rush of adrenaline. This was the moment Lyra had hinted at, the moment to act, to show what humans could do when rules failed. He scanned the control panel, quickly analyzing the available resources. The Alari systems were advanced, but rigid. They followed logic and protocol, and now those systems were failing against a problem that required imagination, improvisation, and decisive action. He turned to Lyra. "I need access to the auxiliary energy grid, and the drones need to be repurposed. Give me control." He rerouted energy, used the city's own kinetic absorbers in combination with a temporary magnetic field, and coordinated the drones in a pattern that would redirect the asteroid's trajectory. It was unorthodox, messy even by Alari standards, but it relied on one uniquely human skill: improvisation under pressure. The asteroid struck, and for a tense moment it seemed the plan would fail. Sparks flew from the energy core, alarms blared, and delegates murmured anxiously. Then slowly the system held. The asteroid's force was absorbed, redirected, and finally it passed harmlessly into space. Silence fell. The delegates turned to observe Elias. He stood at the control panel, sweat dripping down his brow, heart racing but face calm. He had acted where protocols had failed. He had succeeded where advanced systems alone could not. Lyra stepped forward, her expression a mixture of pride and admiration. "You see, this is why humans are chosen. You act where others hesitate. You create where others are bound by rules. You inspire hope where others see only danger." Some appeared impressed, others skeptical but thoughtful. Elias realized that while they had come to judge, they could not ignore what had just happened. Humans had solved a problem that had stumped the galaxy's most advanced systems, not by following instructions, but by thinking, adapting, and acting with courage. "Impressive," a crystalline-skinned delegate said finally. "Your species is unpredictable, yet effective. And you expect this intuition, this creativity, will be enough to navigate the complexities of galactic diplomacy, even when the odds are impossible." Some nodded, others remained cautious, but one by one their expressions shifted. Even if they could not fully understand humans, they could see the results. And results, after all, were undeniable. As the asteroid danger faded, Elias felt a sense of calm settle over him. The challenge had been immense, but it had also been a demonstration. Humans could rise to situations that no rigid protocol could manage. Humans could inspire, act, and succeed where others would hesitate. The day ended with a quiet ceremony. Lyra led him to the edge of the city, overlooking the valley below. The twin suns dipped behind crystalline peaks, painting the sky in shades of gold and violet. Elias could feel the weight of what had happened, the significance of his actions. Humans were being seen not just as creatures of flesh and blood, but as a force capable of shaping the galaxy. "You have done well," Lyra said softly. Not just for yourself, not just for humans, but for the future. Today, they saw what you are. Tomorrow, they will see more. And someday, the galaxy will understand this truth as well. Elias felt a spark of determination ignite within him. This was what humans had always done. This was what they would continue to do. The galaxy had not yet seen the full potential of his species, but today they had glimpsed it. And somewhere deep within the crystalline city, the Alari watched, recording every move, every decision, every moment of human ingenuity. They had chosen well. They had chosen a species that could surprise, adapt, and triumph. And Elias knew in that moment that the true journey was only beginning. The council delegates began their reports, still cautious but undeniably impressed. And Elias, standing beside Lyra, felt the weight of responsibility, the thrill of adventure, and the quiet certainty that humans had a role to play far greater than he had ever imagined. As night fell over the city, the lights of the crystalline towers reflected in the rivers below. Elias knew that tomorrow would bring new tests, new challenges, and new opportunities to prove what humanity could do. But he was ready. Humanity was ready, and the galaxy was about to see why his species was chosen. For the first time in his life, Elias felt not just pride in being human, but confidence in what humans could accomplish together. And that confidence, he knew, would carry them through every challenge to come. The morning sun rose over the crystalline peaks, painting the valley in warm shades of gold and violet. Elias awoke with a sense of urgency. The council had left temporary observers in the city to monitor human behavior, and today would be a more complex test. He didn't know what to expect, but he knew one thing. Humans had the ability to act when others hesitated, to create solutions where others only saw problems. Lyra met him at the edge of the plateau, her golden eyes reflecting the early sunlight. "Today will be more difficult," she said. "You will face not only challenges in your environment, but skepticism from those who believe humans cannot rise to the occasion. Do not falter." The Ilari had designed a test to challenge problem-solving, adaptability, and collaboration, all the qualities that humans excelled at. Holographic projections displayed a network of energy conduits, transportation routes, and supply lines. Each section had multiple points of failure, designed to overwhelm even the most advanced minds. "The Council wishes to observe how humans respond to high-pressure scenarios," Lyra explained. "Your species is unpredictable. Let them see that unpredictability is not weakness, it is strength." The challenge was not to follow the system's logic perfectly, but to identify opportunities where conventional methods failed and create new solutions. He called together a small team of humans who had accompanied him, briefing them with calm precision. "Listen carefully," he said. "This is not about perfection. It's about improvisation, communication, and action. We will face problems that may seem unsolvable. We act anyway. We adapt. We support each other. That is what makes us human." Holographic conduits flickered with instability, transportation nodes overloaded, and supply lines threatened to collapse. The council observers watched silently, some skeptical, some curious. Elias quickly identified a critical failure point, a junction that, if left unchecked, would cascade through the system and shut down the entire network. Most observers expected him to follow standard protocol, but Elias did something different. He directed 2 team members to reroute energy through an unconventional path, using a combination of holographic and physical conduits. Another team member manually stabilized nodes that the simulation had marked as unsolvable. The human team worked together seamlessly, communicating, improvising, and adapting on the fly. The council murmured among themselves. One delegate whispered, "They are unpredictable, but efficient." Another shook their head. "They should fail." Yet they do not. They combined simple tools in complex ways, leveraged the simulation's weaknesses, and acted decisively where rigid logic would have hesitated. Lyra watched silently, her expression calm but her eyes gleaming with pride. "Do you see?" she said softly. "Humans do not follow the path of least resistance. They create the path where none exists." They had stabilized critical junctions, rerouted energy flows, and prevented cascading failures. In several cases, they solved problems in ways the Ilari engineers had never considered, demonstrating that unpredictability, when combined with intelligence and courage, was an asset, not a liability. Finally, the simulation reached its climax. A massive energy surge threatened to overwhelm the entire system. Delegates gasped, expecting failure. Elias acted without hesitation. He coordinated the team to create a temporary energy buffer using an unconventional combination of conduits and absorbers. The surge passed harmlessly through the system, leaving the network stable. Silence fell. The council observers exchanged astonished glances. They had come expecting to see chaos or incompetence. Instead, they witnessed human ingenuity in action, responding to a problem that no rigid system could solve. Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but carrying authority. "Do you see why we choose humans?" she asked. "They act when others hesitate. They create when others are bound by rules. They find solutions where others see only failure." He had known humans were capable, but seeing their potential recognized by one of the galaxy's most advanced species was profoundly moving. Lyra continued, addressing both Elias and the Council. "Humans are not perfect. They make mistakes, they fail, they stumble, but in their failures they learn, in their mistakes they grow stronger. That is their strength. That is why we notice them. That is why we choose them." He turned to see Lyra smiling, her eyes filled with pride. "You did well," she said. "Not just for yourself, but for all humans. Today they saw the truth, that your species is capable of greatness beyond what we had imagined. Today you showed that humans can rise to challenges that others would abandon. Today, you reminded the galaxy why your species matters." Elias looked at each member, feeling a surge of admiration. They had embodied the essence of humanity: courage, creativity, collaboration, and adaptability. As night fell, the city glowed with a soft, ethereal light. Elias and Lyra stood together, watching the lights reflect across the valley. "This is only the beginning," Elias said. "There will be more challenges, more tests. But humans are ready." He had seen the potential of his species recognized by one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. He had witnessed the power of human ingenuity in action. And he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humans would rise to meet them, not through brute strength or perfect logic, but through courage, creativity, and the unique ability to act when others could not. As the night deepened, the twin moons rose over the crystalline peaks, casting silver light across the valley. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. Humans had proven themselves today. The Council had witnessed it, the Elari had witnessed it, and now, perhaps, the galaxy would begin to understand the true value of humanity. Somewhere far beyond the city, the stars stretched endlessly. The universe was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike. But Elias knew one thing with certainty. Humans had the courage to face the unknown, the ingenuity to solve the impossible, and the spirit to inspire hope wherever they went. And as he looked at Lyra, her golden eyes reflecting the starlight, he felt a quiet sense of pride. Today, humans had not just survived, they had triumphed. And the future, wide and uncertain as it was, belonged to those who dared to act, to create, and to believe. Elias knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests, and new opportunities to show what humans could do. But for tonight, he allowed himself to feel the weight and the thrill of accomplishment. Humans had faced one of the galaxy's most complex challenges and had emerged not just successful, but respected, admired, and recognized for the qualities that truly defined them. And somewhere, deep within the crystalline city, Lyra and her people recorded every move, every decision, every moment of courage and ingenuity. They had chosen well. They had chosen a species that could act when others hesitated, create when others failed, and inspire hope in ways no other species could. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, letting the quiet of the alien night wash over him. The journey was far from over, but he felt certain of one thing: humans were ready. And the galaxy, whether it realized it yet or not, would soon see why his species was chosen. The twin suns rose slowly over the crystalline peaks, casting long golden rays across the city. Elias stood at the edge of the observation platform, overlooking the valley below, feeling a mixture of anticipation and resolve. Today would be the final challenge, the ultimate opportunity to prove humanity's worth. The Galactic Council had scheduled a collaborative exercise, a crisis scenario designed to test decision-making, adaptability, and leadership under extreme pressure. Lyra approached silently, her golden eyes calm but intense. "Today, your species will face a challenge that cannot be solved by logic alone. The Council expects failure," she said. "But we know humans are not like other species. You create, improvise, and act. That is your strength. Remember it. We'll do our best, not for them, not for me, but for all of humanity." But Elias saw this as an opportunity, a chance to show the galaxy what humans could do when faced with impossible odds. He gathered the team quickly. "Listen up," he said, his voice steady and confident. "This is more than a test. It's a chance to prove who we are. We are not perfect. We make mistakes, but we act. We adapt. We work together. That is how humans survive, and that is how we succeed. Everyone stay focused. Observe, think, and act. Improvise. Do not be afraid to try something new." The asteroid loomed in the holographic projection, massive and fast-moving. Sensors indicated that it would strike the energy hub within minutes. Drones and automated systems were deployed, but they were insufficient. Traditional methods could not stop it. Elias analyzed the available data quickly, identifying vulnerabilities in the energy flow that could be used to divert the impact. "We will combine the energy grids with the city's kinetic absorbers," he instructed. "Then we'll use the drones to create a guiding field. It's risky and it's not standard procedure, but it's the only way. Everyone, follow my lead." The asteroid approached faster than anyone expected. Sensors flickered, alarms blared, and tension gripped everyone in the hub. At the critical moment, Elias made a bold adjustment. He instructed a team member to deploy a temporary magnetic stabilizer in a position no one had considered. The council observers gasped, some muttering among themselves. The human approach was unorthodox, improvisational, and dangerous, but it relied on a uniquely human strength, the ability to act decisively in uncertainty. The asteroid struck, and for a brief, terrifying moment, it seemed as if the plan would fail. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and energy surged wildly through the hub. Then, slowly, the system stabilized. The asteroid's force was absorbed and redirected, leaving the energy hub intact. The crisis was averted. Silence fell. The council delegates stared at the displays, some in disbelief, some in awe. They had come expecting failure, and instead they had witnessed human ingenuity, courage, and collaboration at work. Humans had faced a challenge that no rigid system could manage and had succeeded through creativity and decisive action. Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but carrying authority. "Do you see now?" she asked. "Humans do not follow rules blindly. They do not rely on perfection. They act, they adapt, they create. That is why we choose them. That is why we admire them. That is why we believe in them." He had known humans were capable, but to see their potential recognized by one of the galaxy's most advanced groups was profoundly moving. He turned to his team, who were catching their breath but smiling, exhilarated by their success. Lyra's expression softened as she placed a hand on Elia's shoulder. "You have done more than prove yourself. You have proven what humanity can achieve when united, focused, and courageous. Today, the galaxy has witnessed your true potential. Humans have shown that they can face impossible odds, overcome challenges that others cannot, and inspire hope in ways no other species can. That is the essence of your strength." Humans had demonstrated qualities that could not be measured by technology or intelligence alone: creativity, courage, adaptability, and collaboration. As the sun set over the crystalline peaks, Elias stood with his team on the observation platform. The city glowed softly beneath them, reflecting the light of twin moons rising on the horizon. The humans had faced a challenge designed to test their limits, and they had emerged victorious, not through perfection, but through qualities that were uniquely human. Lyra turned to Elias, her golden eyes reflecting pride and admiration. "Do you understand now why we choose humans?" she asked. Elias nodded, feeling the truth of her words settle deep within him. "Yes. Humans are not the strongest, the fastest, or the most perfect. But we adapt, we create, we act, we inspire, and that makes us powerful in ways no one can predict." Elias thought of Earth, of the people who had shaped humanity's history with resilience, ingenuity, and courage. He realized that today was not just about proving humans to the Elari or the Council. It was about proving something to themselves, that their species could face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and inspire hope wherever they went. He felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to see Lyra beside him. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy is vast, full of challenges and wonders, but humans have shown that they can rise to any occasion. That is why we chose you, and that is why we will continue to watch with hope and admiration." "Then we'll be ready," he said. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Humans will rise to the challenge." Humanity had demonstrated courage, ingenuity, and the ability to act when others hesitated. They had earned respect, admiration, and a place among the stars. But more importantly, they had proven something fundamental. Humans were capable of greatness in ways no one had anticipated. The council delegates began to leave, their reports filled with acknowledgement of human innovation, bravery, and collaboration. Skepticism had been replaced with respect. Doubt had given way to recognition. Humans had faced impossible odds and had emerged victorious, not by being the strongest or the most advanced, but by being human. Elias watched them go, a quiet sense of pride settling over him. His species had survived wars, disasters, and countless trials, and now they had shown the galaxy that their true strength lay in qualities that could not be measured by technology or intelligence alone. Creativity, courage, adaptability, and the power to inspire hope. As he stood on the observation platform, the twin moons casting silver light across the valley, Elias felt a deep sense of purpose. Humanity had proven itself, not just to the Elari or the Council, but to themselves. They were capable of extraordinary things, and the universe was only beginning to realize it. Lyra stood beside him, her golden eyes reflecting the starlight. "The future is wide open," she said. "The galaxy will watch, learn, and perhaps follow your example. Humans have shown what it means to act, to create, to inspire. That is the true power of your species. Humans will rise, and the universe will see what we are capable of." Humans had proven themselves in one challenge, but countless more awaited them. And yet, for the first time, he felt a quiet certainty. No matter what the universe threw at them, humans would rise to meet it. They would act, create, inspire, and survive. They were human, and that was enough to shape the future of the galaxy. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder once more. "Today, you have shown the galaxy why humans are chosen. Tomorrow, you will continue to show it, and the universe will remember." Humans had survived countless challenges on their home world, and now they had shown the galaxy that they could rise to any occasion, face any danger, and inspire all who witnessed their courage and creativity. The night stretched on, calm and beautiful, full of possibility, and Elias knew, deep within him, that humanity's journey had only just begun. The stars awaited, and humans would rise to meet them, undaunted, inventive, and unstoppable. The galaxy had seen humans act when others faltered. It had witnessed creativity where others followed rules. It had felt hope in a species that refused to give up. And from this day forward, humanity's place among the stars was certain. Elias smiled, feeling the quiet thrill of accomplishment and the unshakable confidence that humans had the strength to face anything the universe could throw at them. Together, humans would continue to explore, to inspire, and to rise. And somewhere across the endless reaches of space, the galaxy began to take notice.